Hi, in this demonstration, we'll show you how to build a simple drill down dashboard. I've created this parent page, drill down demo parent. Let's build a small analysis. So I'm going to the database. I'm going to look for a table that I can use. So there is this e-commerce table. It has some nice data sets. Let's use this. And I'm going to build a simple pivot table analysis. So customer class in the warehouse. And I'm going to bring the sales here, display sales. So this is my simple pivot table. I'm going to add it to the dashboard by clicking on this, and now it's here. Now let's say this is my parent dashboard, and this is having this high level information, which is a summary of sales by customer class and warehouse. And I want to drill down from this into a second page. So I'll save this page and I'm going to create a new page. I'm going to say child 1. So I can have multiple drill down scenarios. So let's build one. So this is empty. Now let's build a analysis with some detailed information. So right now I have this order date. So I'm going to create a date hierarchy. So now it is showing me the year, quarter, all these different date hierarchy members. So I'm going to bring this and put it right here. So this one shows me the sales and warehouse, but it also has added the detailed information showing sales for each of the years. Now I can say add this to the another dashboard. So this gets added to the child dashboard because that's the current active dashboard. If you had the parent one open and active, it would have been added to that one. But so right now it is in this child dashboard. So now what we want to create is simple link between the parent to the child. Now let's go back and save this. So that when I view this thing independently, I can see that. No problem. So I'm going to go back to the demo parent. So when you right click this and edit properties, there are three properties here. So there is drill enable, there is drill URL and drill target. So don't change anything except the drill URL. So instead of the null. So how it works is like whenever you click on any of the cell, it goes and looks out for the drill URL, and then it passes all the clicked values as parameters to the URL. So for example, let's say I was drilling into a web URL, and I'm gonna click apply this. So since we switched the page from child to parent, I mean the analysis is not refreshed. So we just simply right click here. So we have to there is some nuance here, so we have to right click on the border to activate this. So refresh and say refresh data source. So now you will see the titles and the pop-up showing you all this. So the tooltip is showing you all the information that you are hovering on. So this means the analysis is refreshed and active. So now when you click on this, it will take you to the URL. So right now, let's see what is, so this is the URL that we put in the drill URL. And after that, it is passing at some bunch of information. So it is passing the values, the customer class. So what this is the, the widget's ID. So if you right click here and click on edit properties, so this is the name of this widget, of this dashboard widget, and it is appending the customer class. So that value is coming from where you clicked on it. So it's sending the customer class, and then it is giving the warehouse value, which is the northwest, and so on. It passes the rest of the information. So it is also passing you the cell value. And so this way, if there were like multiple parameters on the top, the drill down like checkbox or drop like a select combo box or radio button, all of those selected values will be passed to the target URL. So in this case, the target URL is this. Now, how do I drill into the child dashboard? So we simply change the URL to the child dashboard. So in this case, what we can do is we fetch this and say document URL. We, since it is in the same dashboard page, we can just grab the last portion and then edit the parent. And then instead of this URL that I used, I can just say this and save. So now when I click on this, it is passing, it is opening the child dashboard. But right now, these values are not being used in this dashboard, in this widget. So in order to make it proper drill down, we just have to hook these values into this child dashboard. So now we are in this child dashboard, which is the target of the drill down. So we right click here and we click data source. So now it is just a matter of putting the where condition and plugging these parameters, these filter values that the URL is passing. But right now, to make it simpler, what we can do is right now, rather than constructing all these values, there is a simpler way. So let's close this, and I'm going to delete this child widget, okay? And I'm going to come back, and I'm going to go to the visualizer. So since I have not refreshed the browser, the analysis is still here. So I'm gonna put some dummy filters. So right now I can say right click here and say just keep corporation. So now it is actually just showing me the corporation class. And on the same way, so if you look here, it has added this filter, customer class is equal to corporation. So we can use this filter in the dashboard. It's just a simplification. You can still go ahead and use it on the original chart dashboard. But I'm going to show the simpler method. So right click here and add Northwest as also filter. So right now the analysis is only containing corporation and this. So now I can add this modified analysis to the dashboard and it is showing me this. Now if I go back and right click here on the bottom and say data source, I can see the where condition. So what it is actually doing is basically it's dynamically constructing SQL query for this particular table in the database. And the way it is doing, it's applying this. So earlier when you saw the child query, it was not having any conditions. So it was showing everything, and now we have this condition applied. So if you knew the column name and everything, you can simply add more conditions to it right here. But this is simplification. So I can go back and I can copy this variable name and I can replace the entire value. And similarly, I come here and I use the warehouse value and I can paste it right here. And now I can simply and so we have added these values here. So the only thing left now is to indicate that this is a parameter. So we just type in the words param and surround this variable with angle brackets. So this will indicate the dashboard engine that These are variables that needs to be supplied from whatever the values are for. So when the child dashboard is invoked, it will get these values, substitute it here and run the query for you. So let's click OK. And it will give you this error because it doesn't have these values right now. So you can save this. And now let's go back, save this, go back to the parent, and you can click on view page. And since the drill down is already defined, you click on any cell and you will see that it is working and displaying the correct value. So let's say I go back and I click on the school central. You can see the value is school and central, and it is giving me this. So the same strategy works for any drill down widget. So you could have a chart or a table, it doesn't matter. So let's look into the another detail right now. Now let's look into a case where we want to drill into transaction level details from child 1. So we'll create a new page called child 2. So now we have two options. We can go back to the visualizer, we can create a normal table, but let me show you a different way how you can create this. Okay, so I could go back here and I can say normal table, and I can keep adding different details to this, and it will create this nice summary table. But let's say I want to create a table from within the dashboard editor. So I can drag this grid, and it's a blank table. I can right click here, click on data source, I can pick this, and I can say show me the commerce data. So when I do this, it will simply show me all the each row level transaction. And now I can use the drill down from child 1 to child 2. So if you remember, child 1 has corporation warehouse and also the year. So I can show transactions at the year level. So let's go back here, and I can click on data source, and I can build this query. I can say where So in this case, now since you will be drilling from child 1, we need to get the corresponding values. So let's go back and define the drill down before we can proceed here. So let's save this thing, go back to child 1, and I'm gonna right click this, refresh this, that's fine. I'm gonna right click this, edit properties, and in this case, I need to add this URL. Now as soon as I say refresh on the child dashboard, it will give me this error. So how can I get rid of this? I want to see the child dashboard even when I am in the editing mode. So one way to do is I go back to this in the presentation mode, I click on this and I get this complete URL. So I have this after the reference page. I can take this value and I can copy this, and after this I can append this value with a question mark, just like you're calling any HTML URL. So what this will do is it will invoke the dashboard editor and it will create these values, this parameter values available in the dashboard editor. So now when I go back and right click here, and if I were to show this, I see these values. So these values are coming from the URL. And now I can use this. Since these are already used in this, I can simply say refresh and it does. And now when I click on any of the cell, it invokes the second child, which is the detail table. Now this is not being hooked right now, so let's go back. Well, we need the values, so let's grab and do the same stuff. So I'm gonna take the values right from ref page all the way to the end, copy this and go back. I can save this and go to the child too. And in here, I will now replace this with the new. So now these are the values that the child 2 should be expecting it. So I click on it. So now my dashboard editor will be having all these values. So I right click here, data source, and if I were to see this, I can see that the D1, so these values are coming from the second child. You can see the date value also being passed, so I can use this. So I can simply create this query right here. I can say where customer class equals this, and I say show, and I can say this add selected filter. I can show this right here. And you see when you do it from this, it's already adding the param and the angle brackets. We don't do this. So I go back and say add warehouse equals this add. And here is the thing you have to use is the year function within MySQL database, and then odd date equals this value. Then I can click OK. Now if the query was correct and there were no errors, you can see the data. You can see all the values. So now I can save this. You can rename this value if you want to. I will just leave it right now. Then I can go back, close this, close this, close this. So this is my parent, okay? So this is my top level parent. I click on this, it goes to second level child. I click on 2011 Family Warehouse Northwest. So let's do that. And now you can see the year is 2011. The warehouse is dated appropriately. So you get the idea. Basically, you can drill from, you can pass any values and you can construct any SQL queries you need, however you want it.